the story is kind of trending right now that Taco Bell is doubting their decision to use AI in their drive-thru. So if you have been to a lot of fast food places, one of the new hot trends is you replace your drive-thru folks with AI. And it's not replacing the drive-thru folks, it's just the orders are being taken by AI. And of course, the headline that it's focusing on is, somebody ordering 18,000 cups of water. I think it's a viral TikTok or something like that, where they order 18,000 cups of water to, talk to a human being. So as you can imagine, Taco Bell is, reconsidering whether AI is the right path, which it's at least worth reconsidering. I get that. One of the things, though, that I think isn't making headlines when you actually dig into what's going on here is the fact that Taco Bell has already done 2 million orders using AI. So they have a decent chunk of data. And if you really think about like how many successful ones, I know it's easy to focus on the viral 18,000 water cup moment. But if you really look at it, and I hope Taco Bell does this, and any fast food or any chain that's using AI for some of these more robotic tasks like taking an order, would be the fact that if out of those 2 million, a handful are problematic, it may be an opportunity for you to look at how might we tweak this, but not necessarily do away with this. And that's where I don't know that the headline's necessarily appropriate, because the way it's framed is they're doubting it. They're considering moving on. And they have a good reason, or at least there's a track record for that. Let me not say good reason. There's a track record for that. AI ordering is not new. In fact, as part of getting ready for this week, I happened to watch a video about McDonald's and their history with AI ordering, which a little backstory there. If you didn't know, back in 2021, which was before, generative AI really hit the market, McDonald's had partnered with AI or with IBM. They'd partnered with IBM to do AI order taking. And they ended up actually pulling the plug in 2024 on it because of similar things. AI was, and I saw some of the viral clips that, of course, make headlines with the McDonald's situation, which it was just doing crazy things like mixing up orders. People were getting ice cream with ketchup on it. People were having all sorts of things mixed on their burgers and stuff like that. Like, it was not, there was a consistent number of problems. And again, the PR behind it was really what was, causing issues with this. So here's the thing with this, though, and this is what I think is a little bit unfortunate about stories like these, is that they can, you get media attention for some of these big public things, and people have this kind of backlash where they just completely back off of it. And so if you're a business leader looking at this going, oh no, like we should just pull our, which will tie to the data point I'm going to talk to next, we should just pull our AI stuff because this sounds like it's going to cause problems. Be careful with that, because yes, as I have said from this time I started talking about AI and advanced tech, AI is an amplifier. It absolutely is. And there are going to be things that, can easily be exploited because it doesn't have general intelligence. And so it doesn't have context. It doesn't understand things. So yes, does it require more work to think about, hey, how do we, make sure that we have the right people in the loop and that are looking at, all these other things along the way so that we don't end up in these situations. But I get concerned when people then have these reactions to it, because I get it can look bad. You have some of these viral things, and yes, you want to show a state of, hey, we're taking these claims seriously. We're having viral videos pop up that people are doing our AI. And now the latest TikTok trend is how to exploit your Taco Bell drive-thru. Yes, that is a problem. I don't think the solution is, hey, let's dump AI ordering, because the reality is there's really a lot of room for that. Now, I think there'd be a way to do some A/B testing with this to kind of see, maybe give people the option of a human or AI along the way would be one example of something I could do so they could start to see, do people really want AI? But that might not even be the right thing, because if you ask somebody, would you rather talk to AI or a human? People are always going to say a human most of the time. So you're getting a little bit of a biased piece of feedback. Now, could I see a world where they may now pull back and go, we probably should re-engineer this? And maybe what we do is we have AI take the order, but we put some things in place that flag unusual activity. 18,000 waters, you would think the AI model that they're using to detect things would go, 18,000 waters is an excessive order. Like, there should be some sort of safeguard in place that kicks in if there's and that's not hard to do. I mean, think about your banking software. That's AI that catches things when you go on a trip and you get your card gets declined and you get a call or a thing from your phone. And I know when that first started, people were furious with it. They hated that they would go on a trip and their card wouldn't work and they would have to look silly in front of the cashier as they were like, ugh. And then people got used to it, and they got used to the fact that, oh yeah, that's right, I'm on vacation out of town, I'm probably going to get a thing. Then they automated it, so you got a notification right away. Like, there were ways we worked through this. And I think that's the stage we're in with something like AI ordering, because AI ordering does not necessarily have to mean, and I'm clarifying this because I know some people are like, see, this is taking people's jobs. No, it doesn't have to be that way. It can be something where, because if you know people who have worked in fast food, sometimes being the person taking the orders is one of the most stressful jobs, because you still got everything else to do. So not only are you taking it, you're running around. That's why sometimes the lines get so backed up. So it doesn't have to take people's jobs. If anything, it could help streamline things to say, hey, how are we making sure we get this? Then what we do is we have that person maybe on the inside confirm orders with people, hey, which again adds a level of human quality assurance to things that makes things feel more white glove. You give your order to AI, then at the end, someone comes in and says, hey, I'd like to just confirm your order before we move forward. It runs down what they ordered to say, is there anything that we need to adjust? Okay, so they're spot checking while adding a higher level of service, while freeing them up to know, I don't need to be there as the person's fumbling through their order, yelling in the back seat, go, what, kids? What do you want? Did you want fries? That's a messy, wasteful time to have somebody sitting there going, oh my gosh, like, how long is this order going to take? And they can't really do anything else because they need to be paying attention. So I actually think there's a way that you would look at this and say, how can AI do that initial stage of information gathering? Let's build some safeguards in. So if there's something that immediately flags as that's unusual, before the order gets processed, somebody's going through validating and checking this stuff. If it gets stuck, because I've seen other things like this where if it gets stuck in a loop or it keeps asking, or you can quickly get a notification and the person can go intervene, type of a thing. So there's ways you can do it. And that's the thing that when I saw this article, I went, we are often so binary in our thinking. Taco Bell has a few issues, and so they just throw out AI ordering. McDonald's, granted, had a lot more than a few issues, but they also were doing this in 2021. The fact they threw it out in 2024 is just strange, but I think, I don't fact check me on this one, I think they're revisiting it now that the models have advanced. But again, my point still stands that I don't think it's helpful when we have this attitude of, does AI work for drive-through orders or not? Well, it depends. How are you thinking about it? I think we're learning a lot about some of the things that, risks that you need to do. Like, do you need to consider the risk that people may make a viral TikTok trend of how to exploit this stuff? And so you better go, all right, well, what do we need to safeguard and put in place to make sure we don't end up trending on TikTok for our AI doing something? Which means you might need people who are monitoring trends on social media to go, hey, guess what? We do this, so we need to roll out an update to our AI model to make sure it doesn't make this mistake. Like, there are ways you can do this that, in my opinion, actually require human oversight to pick up on some of this stuff. Could you do it, like I said, in a way where it's doing that initial order gathering stage where that is messy, people take forever, you can't really understand them, type of a thing? Do you need to make sure you put some safeguards in place so somebody can intervene if someone's getting frustrated or stuck or their accent is difficult to detect? Things like that. Sure. Should you make sure that there is a human confirming the order before it gets forward and they drive up to the drive-thru and go, where's my 18,000 watt? Right? Like, there are ways you can think about this that don't require you to go, so do we scrap AI at the drive-thru or not? No, I think what the data shows with Taco Bell and McDonald's and some other ones that I've looked into is there are lots of lessons learned. There are lots of opportunities. I have yet to encounter anything where I go, yeah, this just is a bad use case. I actually think it's an ideal use case. I think there's some risks that need to be mitigated. There's some ways the technology needs to be adjusted, and you'd need to work with your dev team to make sure there's ways that you can roll out rapid updates so that if you discover an exploit due to a TikTok video or something like that, it can quickly and rapidly be implemented. This goes back to why you can't scale down to a skeleton workforce and go, we're just going to let AI do everything. No, because you need people who are going to catch those things. You need to validate it from, your actual field. You need the IT teams then who can say, hey, how do we roll out an update to all of our AI drive-thrus that mitigates this thing that we just found out, ordering 18,000 cups of water is a thing. Hey, we better roll out an update that makes sure if any orders over a certain threshold get put in, we automatically have it ding our, human who's at the drive-thru. And if you're listening to the way I'm breaking this all down, I hope that you're seeing there's actually lots of room for people still to be in the loop, actually doing more valuable work. Because the valuable work is not sitting there as Janet is yelling at Johnny in the back to quit picking on his sister and tell him how many chicken nuggets he wants in his McDonald's Happy Meal, or, what kind of churro he wants in his Taco Bell meal. Like, that's not a good use of human time. So why wouldn't you use AI that doesn't get annoyed, doesn't get impatient? If they change their order 32 times while you're sitting there, like, it's fine. Let them do that. Let them take the time. But then you can also still have some safeguards to go, if somebody's really sitting there, like, maybe I need to step in and make sure everything's okay. Like, there's ways that you can do this that actually allow the people to not only just have jobs, but in my opinion, offer a higher quality customer experience, higher quality employee experience, and actually grow the business. Because if you do this right, by improving your employee experience and your customer experience, your customers are going to enjoy your product, your business, what you're doing more, which is going to bring them back, tell their friends about it. Hey, I just had the smoothest drive-through experience ever. It was great. And I felt like a royalty because they came back and checked in with me, made sure everything was right, asked if there was anything else I needed help with. Like, wow, I did not feel rushed at all. And I felt like there's ways you can do it. And then as the employee, you're not so frustrated by annoying kids at lunchtime that by the time they get to the drive-thru, you want to just whip their food in their face and go, get out of here, type of a thing. And I know I'm being a little hyperbolic, but if you really start to think about this, you start to see that when you start evaluating it for the complexity of work it is and go, where do people struggle? Where are they vulnerable? Where is AI not? AI doesn't get impatient. Perfect. Where do drive-through people get really impatient? Well, they get impatient when people change their order 1,000 times. They get impatient when people didn't come to the window ready for it to go. Perfect. Well, then let's use AI there. Where do people like to be helpful? When they feel like somebody's struggling or that it's not going the way they like to de-escalate. Okay, well, then let's make sure people are doing that. Where does it improve the customer? Like all this stuff, if we break it down and actually understand, what does the drive-through experience look like? And I think, if anything, one of the other things that this reveals is that things we think are simple are often far more complex than we realize. And this is a perfect example of, oh, drive-through, that's easy. People give their order, you drive up, you give them food, they pay, you leave. Sure. And I bet a lot of assumptions were made about AI being implemented in the drive-through based on that, which is probably why you're seeing some of the things blow up that you did, is people went, oh yeah, we know what this is. Here, we'll build a thing that does this. We'll roll it out. We'll just, not make sure staff knows how to work with it, what things to look for. Like, we won't build safeguards. And I don't know all the details of how they implemented it, but I guarantee, Taco Bell, you're welcome to reach out and have me come in and work with you on this. I guarantee a lot of that work was either glossed over or done kind of haphazardly because, yeah, we're pretty sure we know how this works. And there's probably lots of data that supports it. We know how many customer interactions there are. We know the busy times a day. We know, the average order size and all. I'm not saying no work was done, but I'm guessing a lot of the actual complexity of the work was not examined. And then this blows up. And the sad part is, then people go, yeah, see, AI doesn't work. And it's like, actually, no, if you did it right, it would actually make things better for everyone. And I think this is just one very basic use case where you would go, this should be easy. And you go, nope, it's not. And that's exactly why you need to take the time to do it right, because if you don't, it will cost you in PR, in lost revenue, in lost customer, in all this stuff. AI is the most powerful amplifier, the most powerful catalyst we've ever seen. So I think this is a good example of why you need to take it seriously, and why the solution isn't, let's get rid of it, but let's learn from what we've learned from this and then adapt. Now,